Morning sunlight drifts over the calm blue of Palm Beach, brushing against a coral-colored mansion where elegance still lingers in the air. This was the sanctuary of Barbara Walters, the woman who turned television interviews into history lessons. Today, we'll step beyond those iconic doors to explore her Palm Beach mansion, her enduring fortune, and the remarkable life that built it all. But first, let's return to where the story began, long before the cameras ever rolled. Barbara Jill Walters was born on September 25, 1929, in Boston, Massachusetts, a city built on intellect and grit, qualities she would later embody on screen. Her father, Lew Walters, owned the famed Latin Quarter nightclub, a glittering stage for America's biggest entertainers of the 1930s and 40s. As a child, Barbara saw the duality of fame, the glamour of showbiz and the volatility behind the curtain. When her father's fortunes fluctuated, the family moved constantly between Boston, Miami, and New York, giving young Barbara an early lesson in resilience. She attended Miami Beach High School before earning a bachelor's degree in English from Sarah Lawrence College in 1951. At the time, few imagined that this bright, ambitious woman would one day redefine American television. Her first job was with a small ad agency, but she quickly realized her true calling wasn't behind products. It was behind people and their stories. Walters joined NBC's Today Show as a writer and researcher in 1961. Back then, women on television were expected to smile and read the weather, not challenge presidents. But Barbara wasn't interested in being decoration. She was there to deliver. Her sharp instincts and persistence turned her from Today Girl into a trusted voice who could handle any story, from lighthearted interviews to war zone reports. By 1974, she had achieved what no woman before her had done. She became the first female co-host of The Today Show. Just 2 years later, in 1976, she made broadcasting history again by signing a $1 million contract with ABC to co-anchor evening news, making her the highest-paid journalist in television and shattering every glass ceiling in her path. Her tenure at ABC wasn't without turbulence. Sharing the anchor desk with Harry Reasoner proved awkward. He famously resisted the idea of a female equal, but Walters stayed the course. By 1979, she found her true rhythm on 2020, alongside Hugh Downs. There, her calm authority, careful preparation, and uncanny ability to disarm the world's most guarded figures made her an icon. From Fidel Castro to Margaret Thatcher, from Monica Lewinsky to Oprah Winfrey, Walters asked the questions everyone else tiptoed around. Her interviews weren't just television. They were time capsules of human emotion. Her annual special, The 10 Most Fascinating People, became an American tradition. She reinvented herself yet again, creating and co-hosting The View in 1997. What began as an experiment in intergenerational conversation became a pop culture powerhouse. Walters nurtured voices like Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar while continuing to inspire younger generations of women journalists. The show's daytime Emmy wins in 2003 and 2009 cemented its cultural impact. Even after retiring in 2014, Barbara remained a presence, occasionally returning for interviews and producing specials well into her 80s. When she passed away in December 2022, she left behind not just a broadcasting empire, but a legacy that redefined what it meant to be both tough and graceful in the public eye. And it was there, in Palm Beach, where the woman who once held the world's attention finally found her peace. Palm Beach Mansion, seaside elegance. Tucked into the sunlit heart of West Palm Beach, Barbara Walters' seaside mansion was more than a home. It was a statement of grace, intellect, and quiet power. The property sits proudly on a high corner lot, where the Atlantic breeze sweeps across coral-colored walls and bougainvillea blooms around the iron gates. It's the kind of home that whispers rather than shouts, a reflection of Walters herself, poised, commanding, but never ostentatious. Spanning over 5,000 square feet of carefully designed living space, the residence blends coastal serenity with timeless sophistication. The grand entry opens to soaring ceilings and a marble-floored foyer that floods with natural light. The open concept design connects the living and dining areas to an airy kitchen framed by floor-to-ceiling windows, each one capturing glimpses of the water glinting beyond the palms. Every detail feels curated, from the intricate crown molding to the soft, neutral palette that balances Floridian brightness with Manhattan refinement. The master suite is a retreat within a retreat. Vaulted ceilings, a spa-inspired bathroom with soaking tub and walk-in shower, and sliding glass doors that open to a private patio. From there you can hear the faint hush of the sea, a sound that once lulled the most recognized voice in television into peace. Outside, the estate truly comes alive. The centerpiece is a heated saltwater pool and waterfall spa, bordered by stone terraces and shaded by swaying palms. Several covered loggias offer outdoor lounges for cocktails or conversation, the kind of spaces that once hosted Barbara's closest friends, perhaps a journalist or two, or one of her countless interview subjects. A wrought iron staircase winds toward a two-story guest house, perfect for visitors from New York or Los Angeles, or simply a quiet, creative studio. A two-car air-conditioned garage, a whole-house generator, and state-of-the-art HVAC systems bring modern convenience to old-world design. Even the color palette, soft coral, cream, and sand, reflects Palm Beach's signature blend of elegance and sunlight. Situated in the historic El Cid neighborhood, one of Palm Beach's most exclusive enclaves, the home balances privacy with proximity to the island's most glamorous attractions. Just across the bridge lies Worth Avenue, lined with designer boutiques and manicured courtyards where Barbara was occasionally seen browsing in wide-brimmed hats, her grace unmistakable even off-screen. For her, Palm Beach wasn't about status, it was about solace. It was where she could leave behind the studio lights and the headlines, exchanging questions for sunsets, microphones for magnolias. Even the interior architecture carries a metaphor, open yet structured, bright yet controlled, much like the journalist herself. Walking through the residence feels like stepping into the chapters of a career built on balance, warmth with precision, confidence with curiosity, and power with poise. Because while this mansion captured Barbara Walters' serenity, it wasn't her only kingdom. Across the ocean breeze and up in Manhattan's skyline stood another home, one that defined her New York legacy. New York apartment, a view over Central Park. High above Central Park, at one of New York's most exclusive addresses, 944 Fifth Avenue, Barbara Walters built her sanctuary in the sky. For over 3 decades, this elegant 11-room apartment was her personal stage and safe haven, a place where the queen of television journalism traded cameras and questions for quiet views of the park's endless green canopy. Entering through a private elevator, guests were greeted by a grand hallway lined with art and soft lighting, opening into a living room with 10-foot ceilings and a classic wood-burning fireplace. The walls were adorned with portraits and memorabilia from her interviews, a subtle reminder that even here, the stories never really stopped. From the oversized windows, Central Park stretched like a moving painting, shifting from spring greens to autumn golds, a living contrast to the city's constant hum below. The apartment's flow was both regal and warm. The formal dining room, with seating for a dozen, hosted quiet dinners where friends like Henry Kissinger or Diane Sawyer might have shared a glass of wine. Beyond that lay the wood-paneled library, Walter's favorite room, a cocoon of books, rich mahogany, and memory. It was here she prepared her legendary interviews, handwritten notes often spread across the desk beside her favorite fountain pen. The master suite mirrored her taste for understated luxury. A spacious bedroom with its own fireplace, dressing room, and dual bathrooms. Each morning, light spilled through the windows across her neatly arranged dressing table, where Barbara, ever the perfectionist, began her day with quiet ritual and elegance. Down the corridor, two more bedrooms, one converted into an office, continued the apartment's theme of purposeful design. It was a home that embodied success without shouting it, just like the woman herself. Every inch told a story of discipline and dignity. The crystal vases, the classic Steinway piano, the delicate orchids that lined the window ledges overlooking Fifth Avenue. It wasn't just an apartment. It was a reflection of a life built on grace under pressure. After Walter's passing, the apartment became a tangible piece of media history. When it hit the market in April 2023, it carried an asking price of $19.75 million, a figure as commanding as its former owner's legacy. By early 2024, it was adjusted to $17 million, and finally, in July 2024, it sold for $15 million to a private buyer. The sale marked the closing of an era, the final chapter of a life lived between the buzz of studios and the quiet elegance of Fifth Avenue. But as extraordinary as her homes were, they were only part of her story. To truly understand the empire Barbara Walters built, we have to look at what lay beneath the marble and chandeliers: her career earnings, her enduring wealth, and the empire she left behind. Income and net worth. At the time of her death in December 2022, her net worth was estimated at around $170 million, making her one of the wealthiest women in television history. A remarkable feat in an era when female broadcasters were often underpaid and undervalued. Network salaries formed the foundation of her fortune. From The Today Show and ABC Evening News to 2020 and her iconic Barbara Walters specials, she commanded salaries once thought impossible for women in television. Her 1976 move to ABC made headlines, not for the role but for the paycheck. $1 million per year, a record-breaking sum that instantly changed the economics of TV news. By the 1990s and 2000s, at her career peak, Walters earned between $8 million and $12 million annually, particularly through 2020 and exclusive interviews with global leaders. Over her decades-long career, her cumulative earnings from hosting, anchoring, and producing likely exceeded $100 million. Her second financial pillar was production and equity ownership. Walters co-created and executive produced The View in 1997, a show that would evolve into a cultural institution. She reportedly held a 50% ownership stake, later sold when she retired in 2014 for an amount estimated between $20 million and $50 million. That single decision ensured her long-term income through syndication and ABC's continued licensing of the format, positioning her as not just a host, but a media mogul. Her publishing ventures added another layer to her fortune. Walters' 1970 book, How to Talk with Practically Anybody About Practically Anything, became an instant bestseller and remained in print for decades. Nearly 40 years later, she released Audition, a Memoir, 2008, which climbed to the top of the New York Times bestsellers list and earned millions in royalties and advances. Combined, her books contributed $5 to $10 million to her total wealth. Beyond broadcasting, Walters made savvy investments and earned additional income through occasional speaking engagements, licensing of archival footage, and consulting roles within ABC. Her primetime specials, including her annual 10 Most Fascinating People, brought in lucrative sponsorship deals and residuals. Conservative estimates place these ancillary earnings at another $5 to $10 million over her lifetime. Throughout her 6-decade career, she not only redefined journalism, but also used her wealth and visibility to quietly champion causes that touched her heart, from women's empowerment to health, education, and animal welfare. Philanthropy. Her support for the National Women's History Museum became one of her most personal philanthropic commitments. Walters believed that history had failed to adequately celebrate women's achievements. and she donated both funds and time to ensure that future generations would understand the full scope of women's contributions to American progress. "We need a place where girls can walk through the doors and see themselves in the story of this country," she once said. That conviction helped fuel one of the museum's most successful fundraising phases, paving the way for a permanent home in Washington, D.C. After the passing of her dear friend and longtime colleague Peter Jennings, Walters deepened her work with the American Cancer Society and the American Heart Association, lending her voice and financial support to research and awareness campaigns. Her advocacy wasn't flashy. She preferred to lead by quiet example, hosting small donor dinners and leveraging her connections in broadcasting to amplify medical causes that saved lives. Her love of animals also translated into action. A lifelong cat lover, Walters often adopted from shelters and championed the ASPCA and various New York-based animal rescue organizations. Friends recalled that even as she juggled interviews with presidents and pop stars, she never hesitated to support a local adoption drive or send supplies to overburdened rescue shelters. Globally, Walters extended her reach beyond American borders. She contributed to humanitarian causes such as the Clinton Foundation, Hurricane Sandy Relief Fund, and multiple education-focused initiatives aimed at empowering girls in developing nations. Her worldview, shaped by decades of interviewing world leaders and visiting conflict zones, gave her philanthropy a global perspective. Even in her later years, when health began to slow her public appearances, Walters continued to mentor young women in journalism and support organizations advancing diversity in media. She viewed each success story, every woman who earned a chair at the table, as part of her life's work. Because Barbara Walters didn't just change the way the world watched the news, she changed the way it saw itself. Personal life. She was married 4 times to 3 different men, each relationship marking a distinct era in her journey. Her first marriage, to Robert Henry Katz, a Navy lieutenant turned business executive, was fleeting. They wed in 1955 at New York's Plaza Hotel, but the union was annulled within a year, a youthful misstep before her career truly began. Her second marriage, to theatrical producer Lee Goober in 1963, was both her most personal and defining. The couple longed for a family, but after 3 miscarriages, they adopted a baby girl in 1968, Jacqueline Dina Goober, named in honor of Walters's sister. It was motherhood that grounded her amid the chaos of fame. Walters once admitted that while she could command a room full of presidents, by 1981, Walters married Merv Adelson, the billionaire co-founder of Lorimar Television. They were a power couple of the entertainment world. Her dominance in journalism met his empire in television production. Yet success and schedules rarely make good bedfellows. They divorced in 1984, remarried in 1986, and split again for good in 1992. Walters later joked, "I was very good at my job, but terrible at marriage." Beyond her marriages, Walters' love life often intersected with power. She dated future Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan in the 1970s, and later had a long friendship, and briefly a romance, with Senator John Warner in the 1990s. In her memoir Audition, she revealed a secret affair with Senator Edward Brooke, the first African-American popularly elected to the U.S. Senate. It was a relationship both passionate and politically perilous. They ended it quietly, she wrote, to protect their careers reigned by distance and ambition, but they remained on respectful terms. Her inner circle read like a who's who of American culture: Tom Brokaw, Joan Rivers, Woody Allen, Roger Ailes, friends who admired her sharp wit and unmatched professionalism. Yet behind the spotlight, Walters carried a quieter sadness. She once confessed she regretted not having more children, calling it her greatest personal loss. In her later years, health challenges forced her to retreat from public life. In 2010, she underwent open-heart surgery to replace a damaged aortic valve. Recovery was slow but successful, and by September that year, she triumphantly returned to The View, thanking her audience for all the prayers and good wishes. 4 years later, she retired permanently, stepping away from the television world she helped build. Barbara Walters passed away on December 30th, 2022, at her Manhattan home at the age of 93. She had been living with dementia in her final years. According to those close to her, her last words were fitting for a woman who had spent her life seeking truth and meaning. "No regrets. I had a wonderful life." She was laid to rest at Lakeside Memorial Park in Doral, Florida, beside her parents and sister. Engraved on her tombstone are the same words she left behind, not as an epitaph, but as a philosophy. Barbara Walters lived her life like her interviews, fearless, unfiltered, and unforgettable. From her legendary interviews with world leaders to her warm, witty presence on The View, Walters redefined what it meant to have both authority and empathy on screen. If you've enjoyed this journey through her world, her homes, her legacy, and her incredible life, make sure to hit subscribe, leave a like, and share this video with someone who still believes that good journalism can change the world. Thank you for watching, for listening, and for keeping the spirit of Barbara Walters, the woman who asked and never stopped asking, alive with us today.